From Boise to Middleton, the 5A and 4A Southern Idaho Conferences feature 20 of the largest schools in Idaho. Highlighting the big plays and big stories from Idaho's biggest schools, this is the SIC Prepcast with Wayne Dzubak.
That's right. It is another edition of the SIC Prepcast on IdahoSports.com. Brandon Baney with Wayne Dzubak. It's brought to you by D.L. Evans Bank. Wayne, how are you?
I'm doing great. Yourself? Everything goes smooth?
Yeah, we just start hitting the really busy time of the year, right?
A lot of things are going on football. I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting this weekend coming up. But I want to kind of give a shout out to Timberline's boys soccer team because they won the 5A SIC championship last night with a 1-0 win over Boise. So they've wrapped it up. They head to district later this week. And Timberline's going to be the number one seed. They finished the regular season 13-0-2, 9-0-2 in conference play. And Boise, the defending 5A state champs from a year ago, they are going to be the number 3 seed. Bora, the number 2 seed, after Bora beat Skyview last night 4-0. Now, that means the district tournament for the guys starts later this week. But wanted to congratulate the Timberline boys soccer team for winning the 5A SIC title. Regular season, now the district, and then on to state. So it's not done yet, but part 1 is done.
And Timberline has kind of been the almost post-to-post leader, right? They've been near the top of the standings pretty much since the jump. They've been the top-ranked team in the coaches' poll for a while. So it's been a really nice season for the Wolves. Absolutely.
Really has been. I mean, undefeated. They had a couple of ties, but undefeated. But you know what? I've seen in that soccer race, things get crazy in the district tournament, and you never know what's going to happen. But at least the number 1 seed, so that gives them I won't say easy pickings to start off, but it's a whole lot easier than, really being that 4th or 5th seed, because there is where it gets really tangled up a little bit. But so you got Timberline, number 1 seed, Bora, number 2, and Boise, the defending state champs, number 3 seed.
That's going to be a fantastic district tournament to watch. And
we'll keep you posted.
Absolutely. Friendly reminder, probably later on this week on our site, idahosports.com, we'll have all of those district tournament brackets, not just for District 3 in the SIC, but every district around the state for soccer and volleyball. So keep an eye out for that, and you can keep track of how your favorite team is doing in districts. So
I talk about it all the time in our football games, where we're doing football. But man, you go to idahosports.com, you can find anything. I mean, you got to find the brackets. You talk about that. You find stories about different situations that are going on. You find scores. You find everything. So I mean, just go to idahosports.com and really just kind of navigate your way through, and you'll see a lot of good stuff going on there. Besides you and me talking football and stuff like that.
Right. For sure. Well, you and me have seen a lot of good stuff. I mean, you in particular saw some good stuff last week. Let's start with the Thursday night game that you were at. It was a cuno versus Bora showdown, and it was a really good game. Bora ended up winning in football 27-24.
They did. CUNA led that one at halftime, which was really surprising to a lot of people. CUNA having a little struggles this year, but Bora came back, won at 27-24, so it went back and forth. And I think the bigger picture on that one is that the Bora Lions have now won 3 in a row. After losing their first 3 games, they've won 3 in a row, and they host Owyhee coming up on Thursday night, a game I'll be doing. And Owyhee's struggling. That I'm not saying that it's a cinch for Bora, but they've got a good chance of actually starting the year 0-3, and then after Thursday night, having a winning record right now at 4-3.
And I told you a couple weeks ago that if Bora continues this hot streak, they've got a real good chance of playing themselves into a playoff spot. The SIC gets 6 automatic bids to the 5A postseason, and there's also 2 at-large bids. So last year, 7 SIC teams made the playoffs, and the same thing could easily happen again this year.
Yeah, they've got Parker Rushton, who's really coming on strong. He scored like 10 touchdowns in the last 3 games. So if you would say that's hot, I think he's red hot right there. 10 touchdowns in 3 games. That's pretty amazing there. So he's getting, and once you get the running game going, as most teams know, once you can run the football, you can pretty much do anything you want. And Bora's defense has gotten much better. And they did give up 24 points to CUNA, but they haven't given up the 49s and the 54s and things like that. So, yeah, they're getting better, and Bora's just doing a pretty good job. So we'll keep an eye on them on Thursday night. I fully expect them to be 4-3 coming out of that game.
Yeah, it sounds like you just gave him a new nickname, Red Hot Rushton.
Yeah, Red Hot Rushton. Yeah, if I did it by total mistake. But I hope he likes it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about CUNA real quick, just for a second. This was your first opportunity to see CUNA in person. They're kind of a younger team. They got a new head coach, Coach Shank. And what did you see from that Cavemen team?
I saw a competitive group. I saw a group that didn't quit. That came out there and played hard. You're right. They're young. They got a lot of new things going on there. I think they're better than the record would indicate. But by the same token, I thought they led that game. I thought they had an opportunity to win it. It was just one of those things that, CUNA's got to take the next step. And CUNA is one of those teams that when they were 4A, they dominated. When they were 5A, they struggled. And so they just got to get over that hump. I think that's another of the areas that continues to grow as more and more people move in there. You're going to have more and more young men who want to play football and more, prospects to go out there. And I think Coach Shank's going to have, a good couple of years coming up here. So I think they're good. I think they're kind of right there, but they just don't have the depth right now. From what I saw, they lack a little bit of depth in all positions. So I like what I saw. They could have beaten Bora. They didn't get her done. But I think they've got a lot of promise.
We want to get in on the ground level of buying that CUNA stock for the next couple of years.
Yeah, right, exactly. I think they're going to do well.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. All right, Friday night, the contest that you were at was at Eagle, as Timberline, really needing a win, I thought, to really solidify their resume. Eagle, of course, had the big win the week prior, and no problems with Timberline in this matchup, 32-10. What did you see?
Yeah, Eagle just looks awful good. Jack Benson looks good. They got Donovan Jones is good. They've got good running backs. They had their backup quarterback, Reeves, who came in there, and he ran the ball quite a bit. Roy Hull ran quite a bit. But the guy that was something else again was Ian Duarte. Duarte had an 11-yard touchdown reception and a 78-yard punt return for a touchdown. The kid was unreal. And that 78-yard, it's funny how something like that, one play, 78 yards for a punt return, just ignites the whole team and changes the whole atmosphere of a game. Ian Duarte just kind of put the skids to Timberline's hopes to win that game when he returned that ball. So he had a great night. Eagles a solid ball club. I really like what they do. They're a fun group. And they're 4-2 now. And don't forget, Timberline's also 4-2. So even with the loss, they're only 4-2.
Right. And for Timberline, still a chance to rebound there as well. Ian Duarte was, he's the benefit of the influx of families that are moving into the Treasure Valley way. And he's from California originally, and a really good baseball player too, from what it sounds like. So Eagle says, hey, yeah, we'll take him. No problem.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I didn't know he played baseball, but that doesn't surprise me the way he handles the ball. He catches the ball well, fields the ball off the turf well. Really good kid, and he's got some speed once he turns it on. And he was kind of weaving through that defense with that punt return. So pretty exciting young man.
So the CUNA Bora game was probably the second best game of the week, I thought, in the 5A SIC. I think the best game was the showdown between Meridian and Skyview. We talked about Skyview coming into that matchup with Rocky Mountain. They were undefeated. They got their nose batted in a little bit against the Grizzlies, but really came out and competed well. Meridian escaped with a 15-7 win, but this was a wild finish, Wayne. Skyview had a couple of chances at the end as time expired, and depending on who you ask, Skyview thinks they probably caught the game-winning touchdown or the game-tying touchdown as time expired. The officials ruled the receiver was out of the end zone, but it was a fantastic game.
I didn't see it, and so I can't speak to the fact, was he out, was he in, that kind of thing. But you're right. I mean, it had for some controversy. It had for exciting finish. It had for all kinds of, hey, we should have won that type game, all the things. Now, for Meridian, they are still struggling with that quarterback situation because, once again, Zeke Martinez was their quarterback. Malachi was not. And, the freshman is the freshman, and he's a great freshman. There's no question about it. But the bottom line is, for me, is that I'd rather go with the senior. And I think really Meridian right now is being hurt a little bit, that Malachi has been shaken up. But he got hurt in the game before again for the second time this year. I don't know exactly what it was. The first time it was his shoulder. I think this time more they were worried about concussion type stuff. So, he did not play. And so Zeke went there.
At what point, Wayne, do you say, Meridian, they've got a good resume at this point, 4-2 overall, probably going to make the playoffs. At what point do you say, hey, rest up for a couple games and let's attack it in the postseason?
Well, I think that what they tried to do, but it's one of those things where they thought they had him back from the shoulder injury and got him back in there, and he took a pretty good head knock, and so that's something you can't plan on or anything like that. Meridian also had Davis Thacker out for a little bit. That's hurt them. He's 6'4". He's a big kid, so they've got all those three wide receivers plus a big tight end. Uh, so injuries have slowed them down a little bit. So watch out if Meridian starts to heal up here. They get everybody back to strength again. So they started out strong, hit a little bit of a lull, and they could come right back in the playoffs. So watch out for Meridian. They're not out of this thing by any stretch of the imagination.
And for Skyview to really bounce back and play well, I thought that was really encouraging for Coach Young and the Hawks there as well. Every other game, Wayne, was kind of a blowout. Mountain View beat Centennial 57-14. Rocky Mountain had a nice win over Hawaii 51-14. Capital defeated Boise 50-28. So it was really, again, we talk about it's not the haves and the have-nots, but the really strong contenders and the younger teams that are still trying to find their way. And if we look at the conference standings, because they break it down again by these divisions, right? They tried to assign these two divisions and split up the competitive teams. Well, I'll tell you right now, the Foothills division is a lot more loaded than the River division, right?
Absolutely. When you got Rocky Mountain, Eagle, and Meridian and Skyview in the Foothills division, it's loaded.
Well, and Timberline's in there too.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about them. Sorry, they're 4-2. Forgot about that.
They're 4-2, but they're 0-2 in their division, Wayne. Their two losses have come to top teams in their own division. So, yeah, right now Rocky is 2-0 in the division. Eagle and Meridian are both 2-1, but Eagle, of course, beat Meridian, so they're in second with the head-to-head win. Skyview is 2-2 in the division. They're almost done. And then Timberline's 0-2. Boise's in last. They're not playing everybody in the division, so they automatically get that sixth spot. And then you compare it with the River division, and it's all setting up for a good showdown. Mountain View and Capital, both 3-0. Bora is 2-1, like we talked about. And in maybe a softer division, they've got an opportunity to really solidify themselves.
Yeah.
And then Cuna is 1-2, Centennial's 1-3, and Hawaii is 0-5. So that Foothills division is really the one I'm looking at, but the River division also has some good stuff.
Well, the River division, just so you know, we got that Capital Mountain View game coming up Friday night. I get to do that one over at Mountain View High School. So you got 4-0 and 3-0 right there in division play. So a 7-0 combined record. So that should be a fun one. Last time I saw Capital, I'm going to be honest with you, they look horrible against Meridian. I mean, Meridian's good. Capital's good. I thought that was going to be a knock them down, drag them out, 35-31 ball game, and it was 35-0. So I know Capital's much better than that. It was just one of those nights you take it, you throw out the tape, don't even look at it. So I know Capital and Mountain View are going to be a good battle on Friday night. I look forward to doing that one. And that'll be for the lead in the River division. Because, I mean, Capital's 5-1 overall. Mountain View, obviously, 6-0 overall. So not only are their division records great, their overall records are nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, Capital's only loss was that setback to Meridian.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to be the key factor in this matchup? Because Mountain View is good, we know. Capital's good. You've seen both teams several times this year. Where do you think it ultimately lies?
I just think the ability for Max Clark to move the football with Capital. I mean, that defense, Mountain View is really tough on defense at home. They really get really psyched up when they're playing at home, and they're a tough defensive team up there, especially in the second half. We've seen that in every game this year. They come out in the second half with a whole new determination. So I think if Capital can just kind of control the football, keep Mountain View off the field a little bit with that ball control offense, I think Capital is going to do well. They just cannot play like they did against Meridian, because Meridian's good, but they weren't 35-0 good, if you follow my drift.
Right.
So Capital, I think, is going to put on a better show Friday night. I'm looking forward to that one right here on idahosports.com.
That's right. We've got a little River Division flavor for you, right? Friday night, we've got the big matchup there. Thursday night, it's Hawaii taking on Bora at Donna Larson Park. And again, we talked about that's a great opportunity for the Lions to maybe break through and continue winning in their division. And then when you look at the Foothills division, the other division, Wayne, there's some big matchups here. I think right away what stands out to me, Eagle at Skyview, a pair of 4-2 teams. And again, Skyview is a team that's trying to fight its way up in the standings. Eagle, meanwhile, trying to hold on to second place in the division.
Yeah, when I saw that game and I saw the Capital Mountain View game, I said to myself, how can you be two places in one time? Because I want to go to both games. Because I think that Eagle Skyview game is going to be a dandy. It's at Skyview, and that's a whole different thing. Skyview is going to be upset. They're going to be hopping mad because they lost to Meridian on a controversial ending play. So it's going to be interesting to see what that's. I would not miss that game if I were a Skyview or Eagle fan, and obviously if you're Capital Mountain View. So I wish I could split myself in two and go there. And I know there's a lot of people that I'm glad I'm not split in two. They can only take one of me.
Yeah, I don't know if we need two Dzubaks.
No, we don't need two of us. Don't need two of me.
Yeah. The other big matchup is Rocky Mountain at Timberline. Again, we talked about Timberline. If they want to go from dark horse to legitimate contender, what better way than to give Rocky their first loss in the division this year? But that'll be a tough one for Timberline as well. That'll be at Donna Larson Park on Friday night.
That's the only thing that Timberline's got going for them right now, that they got Rocky Mountain at home. So that's good news. But you're right. I think Rocky Mountain right now, we talk about the haves, the have-nots. Timberline's right in the middle of all that. I mean, they've got some good stuff. They got some good people. But the reality is that Rocky Mountain has it all. And Rocky, I think, will win that game.
Yeah. We were talking about Skyview and how competitive they've been. Of course, the news came out last week at the IHSAA September meeting that Skyview will be moving back down to 4A next year, but Middleton and Nampa will both be jumping up to the 5A ranks. So we got a little bit of shuffling of the deck here, Wayne. I think the biggest story is going to be that the SIC will be unbalanced once again, right? You're losing one team, but adding two, which gives you a 13-team conference. It's going to be logistically a nightmare, I think.
And I know it's a numbers game. I really do. How many people are going to school there, what the deal is. But some schools just do better. Football is a tough sport. I mean, you've got to look at football a little differently than just a numbers game. If you've got 1,500 in your school or 2,000 in your school, wherever the break is, that's going to take you from 4A to 5A or 5A to 4A. Napa's struggling at 4A, and they're going to go to 5A. I mean, I just don't see how that is going to work in the long run, and it just kills morale. So it's really tough. Middleton is just a power. And then you take Middleton away from the Emmets and the BKs, and that's become such a classic, that 4A battle between those schools, that I hate to see that just die and go away. And so I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that, although I understand that it's all based on how many kids, how many students go to a particular school and where the breakdown is. But I don't know if that's the best way to do it. I don't know what the way to do it is. I'm sure there's people that are much smarter than me figuring this stuff out. So I've got to, just kind of say, okay, they must know what they're doing. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I guess my biggest thing is there's no set guidelines. It's all arbitrary and it's on a case-by-case basis. So there's never any idea of why this team was able to stay down and this team got kicked up. And
Right.
I don't know, just there's a lot of.
It's going to be hard for Nampa. I mean, CUNA is a good case in point. CUNA in 4A just dominated. CUNA in 5A struggles. It's just that little bit of competition there. And I would rather see teams, when I say dominate, I mean they compete, okay? And they ended up winning that state championship a couple of years ago. But the reality is that they competed every game. They didn't blow everybody out, but they won a lot of games. They were competitive. I want competitive SIC rather than, 4 teams that have got it and 6 teams that don't. I just want to see where you've got 11 teams or 12 teams, how many ever you have in there, that on any given night, anybody can win. I want parity.
Yep, absolutely. I completely agree. So switching gears to the 4A SIC, that classic game between Middleton and Bishop Kelly, there was a little bit of sadness after the game, because who knows when the next time these two teams will cross paths again, with Middleton on their way up to 5A. But if this was the last matchup between these schools for a while, boy, they sent us out with a good one. 51-42, BK wins a shootout.
Yeah, 93 points. I mean, we're talking hoops here. We're talking basketball already, It was one of them basketball type games. So 51-42, it was unbelievable. How about Seth Knott, 308 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. I mean, he just did it again. And you and I were talking the other day, and we're talking about Seth, and we both agreed that he needed every one of those 5 touchdowns in that game for BK to win. So Middleton gave it all they've got, but that's what I'm talking about. I'm going to miss both teams, by the way, are 4-2. I'm going to miss that. So you got a game where they had 93 total points, the over under 93, they 51-42, both are 4-2. And now you got one going to 5A and one staying 4A. I'm going to miss that. I really am.
Yeah, it's going to be a bummer. Bishop Kelly coach Tim Brennan said the key to the win for the Knights was not only matching Middleton score for score because they're such a high-powered offense, but taking time to score our touchdowns, right? Holding the ball, running that clock. So Middleton isn't getting as many opportunities, and the game plan worked to perfection for BK. It was really nice to see.
It's always been that way. You get you get ball control. You get ball control. You have got to take that away from. Don't let Middleton have it. They've got a great quarterback in McClure. Do not give him that ball. And, he can't score without it. So that's what Knott brought to the table. He just kept that pounding and pounding and pounding and that running all the way through.
Yep. The other classic matchup from the 4A SIC last week was Nampa and Valley View. And these were the teams that we thought were kind of duking it out for 4th and 5th place. Now, I think both teams still make the playoffs from the SIC, but whoever won this matchup is going to be able to finish a little bit higher and get a higher seed into the playoffs. Nampa wins by 39-38. And now the Bulldogs, all of a sudden, they've got 2 wins in a row here. They're 2-4.
Yeah, and this is what I thought Nampa would do earlier this year. I mean, I really thought they'd pick it up early on in the season. As you mentioned, now they're 2-4 on the year. They were 6-3 a year ago, made it to the playoffs. I thought they would continue that success. They didn't, but that was a big win for them. We talked about Valley View last week, how maybe Valley View was struggling a little bit. And obviously with that Nampa win at Bulldog Stadium, Nampa 39-38, is a case in our point as to what we were talking about, that Valley View struggling a little bit. But you're right, Valley View still 3-3 and has the playoff hope still there for them. I mean, when you look at them, Valley View's 2-2 in league right now. So, they've dropped down a little bit, but hey, everybody's chasing Emmett. We'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah. So in the standings, Emmett is 4-0, still in first place in the league. Bishop Kelly and Middleton are both 3-1. BK gets second place because of the head-to-head win. Right now, Valley View, Columbia, and Nampa are all tied at 2-2 apiece, right? That's kind of wild. Columbia, of course, their 2 wins have come against Ridgeview and Caldwell, which are both 0-4. So for Columbia, you figure now they're really having to play the quality teams. Nampa has 1 toughie left. Nampa will play Middleton on October 15th, and Valley View has 2. Hear this, Wayne. They close out the regular season, Valley View does, with a game against Bishop Kelly on the 15th and then at Emmett on the 22nd. That's going to make them very battle-tested for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But, of course, the one game that I want to talk about, Emmett at Middleton on Friday night, there you go right there. Boy, I tell you what, Emmett 4-0, Middleton 3-1. That's a big game. I mean, if you're BK, you're going to be watching close on that game and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. If Middleton knocks off Emmett, all of a sudden you've got a 3-way tie at the top of the division.
Exactly. And that's what I just was talking about a minute ago about I want a competitive SIC, whether it's 4A, 5A, all the way down the board. So you shuffle these teams here and there and you lose some of that. But I mean, the 4A SIC is so darn exciting. It's unbelievable. It's fun to look at everybody because when you look at it, you've only got 2 teams right now that are kind of out of it. Ridgeview and Caldwell are out of it. Everybody else is still like knocking on that door. They're right there. And anything could happen. And with a 3-way tie, if Middleton beats Emmett, all of a sudden, this is a whole new ball game. And it's Katie barred the door.
Yeah, and they will all have beaten each other too, which just adds another layer of complexity.
That's a tiebreaker's nightmare right there. How do we break this tie?
Right. The other interesting matchup in the 4A SIC, I think, this week is Nampa at Columbia. We talked about both teams are 2-4, and we mentioned, Columbia is 2-2 in the conference. Their 2 wins came against the teams at the bottom. So can Columbia continue their winning ways, knocking off Nampa? A win over Nampa here would all of a sudden vault Columbia into the potential playoff conversation as well. So this would be an interesting one to watch.
Well, if Nampa wants to get back to the playoffs, Nampa's got to win this one. I mean, they were, like I said, 6-3 last year. They were my dark horse in 4A to begin the year. I thought they might make some noise. They really have been a lot more quiet than I thought they would. Gabe Navarro is a pretty good quarterback. I mean, they needed everything he could give them the other night to win that game, 39-38 over Valley View. But the bottom line is that they've got to win this one over Columbia if they want to continue another playoff run and get a chance to do it. And once you make the playoffs, anything goes. I mean, that's the key. You get through this season, however you can, no matter what you can do, beat who you can beat, but just get enough to get in there. And then you can kind of put it all together if you can.
Yeah, and I think this league is so good, Wayne, that a team will come into the playoffs with a less than stellar record and travel over to like maybe Eastern Idaho and play a team that wasn't as battle tested. And I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be an upset, quote unquote. But really, I think the Treasure Valley is so stacked in 4A football that it really won't be a surprise to fans over there.
No, not at all. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, every year, Emmett, BK, Middleton, always there. And I don't know if Nampa wants to join the party. They can, but they've got to win a couple of more games here at the end of the season. Like we say, just a couple of weeks left in the regular season.
Yep. And that Middleton Emmett game, you can watch the video broadcast of Friday night at 7:00 live from Middleton. Logan Green will have the play-by-play call of that matchup, and that's going to be really good. So we got a good schedule of games on idahosports.com this week. It all starts Thursday with the Hawaii versus Bora matchup from Donna Larson Park, audio-only broadcast Thursday at 7:00. And then Friday, we've got 3 games for you, 2 in the 5A SIC. Wayne, you're going to be at Mountain View for Capital against Mountain View, 7:00, audio only, idahosports.com. We'll also have Centennial at CUNA in what should be a fun matchup from CUNA, also 7:00 Friday night, and then the big video broadcast of Emmett at Middleton. So we've got 4 games on the broadcast schedule this week, and all of them should be pretty entertaining.
Well, I told you I could split myself in 2. Now I'm thinking about splitting myself in 3. I would love to see the Eagles Skyview game, love to see Middleton, Emmett, and would love to see, I'm going to see, Capital and Mountain View. But the bottom line is this is when it gets exciting in high school football here in the Treasure Valley. Looking forward to all the games tonight. And IdahoSports.com, as always, will be there covering it start to finish.
Yep,
absolutely. And I love your Friday night flash. I got to tell you something. I'm doing the games. I'm there, and I go to Twitter, and I go in there, and I go online. Which Twitter is easier for me to get, than to kind of drive it in. So I go to Friday Night Flash, and I'm able to keep everybody up to date with scores as to what's going on. So I give you a lot of kudos on that one, or whoever's doing Friday Night Flash on Friday night, because you're doing games, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that is our intern, Keller Sherman. He is working. Yes. Intern Keller working the Friday Night Flash every Friday night, doing a great job of it. So absolutely.
Well, it really helps. I mean, so if you're looking for scores, everybody, that's the place to go. And then you can listen. And I think, I had some people come up to me afterwards and they thanked me for just doing that. They thank me for doing the game and whatnot. But, it's so fun because you can just get on your phone and you can sit there and listen to the game while you're watching it. It's fun to do.
Yep, absolutely. That's the Friday Night Flash, our live interactive real-time scoreboard, and that's on the website, idahosports.com. All right, we've got some gold stars to hand out, Wayne, but before we do, let's step aside for a moment and hear from our sponsors of the SIC Prepcast here on idahosports.com, and that is our good friends from D.L. Evans Bank. We will be back right after this on the SIC Prepcast on idahosports.com.
Wherever you are, D.L. Evans Bank is right there to help. From applying for loans to opening new accounts and signing documents, personalized service is just a video call away. This is Bank Live with D.L. Evans Bank. This is Community Banking.
That's right, D.L. Evans. This is Community Banking, and this is the SIC Prepcast on idahosports.com. Brandon Bainey with Wayne Dzubak. You can get the audio of this podcast wherever you download your podcasts, along with our website, idahosports.com. You can also catch the video on the idahosports.com YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook page. All right, Wayne, time for the gold stars. We do this each week where we each hand out a gold star helmet sticker for a performance that we thought was exceptional.
Yeah, I tell you what, you got one that I'm going to let you go first today because I like it. The only difference is you got to be careful putting that helmet sticker on this person. Okay?
That's right, because we're going to the soccer pitch where they don't actually wear helmets.
Not wearing helmets, yeah.
And I'll tell you, watching soccer, So some of the girls that come in and they, hit the ball with their head. I mean, that's got to hurt, right?
It does. Have you ever tried? Matter of fact, there's been a talk. We've done a lot of stories I've done when I was doing TV about concussions from just hitting that soccer ball. If you've ever tried to header a soccer ball, especially when it's really been kicked hard and high, yeah, you got to be careful up there. But they're tough. Don't let anybody tell you that soccer is not a contact sport.
Oh, and the endurance that is required to play is exceptional. So, yeah, we talked about the boys soccer and the 5A SIC at the top of the podcast and how Timberline had looked pretty good there. The big matchup, of course, last week, and it was the day we were recording the Prepcast, Wayne, was this girls soccer showdown between Rocky Mountain and Timberline, two unbeaten teams in the 5A SIC. The winner of this game was probably going to win the regular season title. There's a couple of matches still to be played this week, so we can't officially say, but it was a big matchup, and the winner of that contest was more than likely going to win the regular season title. And they delivered. At halftime, 0-0. Both sides played even. Second half, Rocky Mountain gets a goal from Caitlin Slocum. She scored on an unassisted goal, and that stood as Rocky won 1-0 over Timberline. I was at Timberline. That was at their place as well, which is impressive. My gold star, though, is going to go to the goalkeeper for Rocky, Ellie Stoll. She played all 80 minutes, came up with 4 saves, and, of course, pitched the shutout as well. So Ellie Stoll and the Rocky Mountain girls soccer team, congratulations on a fantastic win over Timberline.
That's great. Of course, we're not talking too much about the regular play, but they're ending up right now early this week, ending it up. Their district starts later this week, too. So they're getting there, but because the podcast is recorded, we don't really know what's going on. We knew Timberline had won because that happened Monday night. We record this on Tuesday. So, congratulations. Everybody's looking good. Their district play starts, and so we'll see what Rocky Mountain can do if they can keep it going. My gold star, I got to go back to football, and I got to slap it on the helmet of Seth Knott from Bishop Kelly. The guy carried the ball 43 times for 308 yards and 5 touchdowns. And as you said, Coach talking about it, we just kept the ball away from Middleton. 43 carries in a game. That's a workhorse right there. And that's a guy who not only scored 5 times, but kept the ball away from the other guys, in this case, the Middleton Vikings, time after time after time, carry after carry, and led to that big 51-42 win.
Yeah, and for BK, that's not the goal every week, but it's nice for them to know that, hey, when we really need to, we can turn and give it to them 40-plus times and be all right.
There's always a lot of great performances. We look at it, and a lot of times, like you say, as you just now soccer, throw out the gold star. We're looking at everybody. Don't have to score 5 touchdowns to get a gold star, but when you dominate a game and things like that, and your goalie dominated the game, my running back dominated the game, and that's what we kind of look for, is that dominating performances that really stand out and make a difference, and they made a difference for sure.
Yeah, and the opponent matters too, right? If it's a bigger game against a high caliber opponent and you deliver, I mean, that raises you up a little bit as well. So,
although I never scored 5 touchdowns or rushed for 308 yards against anybody, even the lousiest team ever, I never did that. So, there's got to be something to the talent that those kids have.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be another fantastic week of football. Volleyball is getting towards the end of the regular season. Soccer, you mentioned, Wayne, districts are starting. Soccer's always the first sport to dip its toes into the playoff waters, and that'll be a lot of fun to watch as it unfolds as well. So we'll be back next week to recap everything that happened in the 5A and 4A ranks in the SIC. Wayne, it's that time of year where it starts to get colder outside. You got a good jacket for when you're going out to broadcast?
Yeah, and you know what? From what they tell us, the weather's going to get cooler Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it's nice. It's like 75 on Tuesday, but it's going to get cold. And next week's going to be even colder. So it's going to feel like district time. It's going to feel like playoff time. And I'm excited. Yeah, I've got a couple of jackets, and I'm going to just keep testing them out. The warmest one comes with me.
That's right. The tryouts, open tryouts.
Open tryouts for my coats. Absolutely.
All right. Well, for Wayne Dzubak, I'm Brandon Baney. Thanks for tuning in to the SIC Prepcast. We'll see you back here next week on IdahoSports.com.